Good evening. Hopefully, you're having a great, wonderful day. And if you're watching this video, it's because you looked up dice strategies on stake. I am the man of a million minds. I'm bringing you the 9811 strategy that I have created. I've been working on the strategy for about 6-7 months now. This is not the original 9811. I have adjusted it and changed things and moved things around to a point where I think I have a good strategy to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with 100,000 Shiba. We're going to divide that by 5,000%. Gives 20. We're going to start our trade with 20. Normally, I could do a 3,333%, which would give us about, I think, 30, I would believe. Or then you could do a 10,000%, which would give you 10. So this is a ultimate. I like to call this an ultimate safe strategy. If you lose out on it, you'll still have around half of your starting bet, and then as you go up higher, you'll have a little bit less than half, and so forth, so forth. But I like to move them a little bit, so we're going to start out with 20, and we're going to stop this auto bet at 10,000. We're going to stop it at 10% of what we started with, and then we'll slowly ramp it up, and you'll kind of see the strategy as we go. We will get into the strategy more if I could show you that it's a good strategy, and that way you can see it work its magic, and hopefully give it a try. Now, I do not like to do Instabet because sometimes it skips. I know I can't be the only one. If you just saw that, it skipped the win on the Instabet. So I do not do Instabet. It's a little slower this way, but I want to make sure every win counts. Again, we want to have this stop at 10,000. We're at 780 right now, so it's going to be a little bit. I do have a video, $20 in 6 minutes on the 9811 strategy. It's I think I had like 34 million, and I was wagering 10 cents at the time, so it was a really good quick flow. And as you see there, the bet starts off at a multiplier of 2, which is a 48% chance. And if it hits, then it will stay at that. If it loses, it'll go down to 46, and then 35, and then drop down to 9 for a few slots, then 17. And then it will go back to the 48 on the last chances to hit. And as you see, under the conditions, there's a lot of moving parts, because the strategy when I first started had like 27 or 28 parts, and it didn't go back to the 48 until like turn 30. And at that point, you could only miss 2 or 3 times on the 48%, and then you'd bust. So I've slowly conditioned and moved things around, and hopefully I've been using this strategy this way for 2 weeks now, and I'm really liking it. Really, really liking it. We're about a third way there. So if you look at my vault, I have $369. I started with 20 using this strategy. By doing the multipliers, once it hits the 10% mark and it stops, I would then move up my bet 10% also, which would go to 22 basically. And then you stop it again at 120,000. You go to 24. You stop it again at 130,000. You go to 26. And the same amount of time that it takes to hit your first 10,000, it will start to get quicker as your betting amount goes higher. And then once you get up to 200,000, you could do 10%, which your bet amount will be at 40. It would take the same amount of time to hit 20,000 now as you did 10,000, right? And so you go up 20,000 to wager to the stopping point. You're at 40 bet now, and now boom, you go up to 3,000, and then you go up to 4,000, and then it just starts climbing. And as your money's increasing, so is your bet amount. But you're always stopping at that 10%, and it's the exact same amount of time that it did when you very first hit this 10,000 at the very beginning. You know, when you get up to a point where you're stopping at 100,000 for your 10%, it's the same amount of time it took you to get this first 10%. So it's pretty cool. So when I first started playing in 2021, most of my strategies were like a 5x, you know, with the 28% increase per turn, per loss, or whatever. This past 2023, towards about October or so, the way I started doing strategies totally changed. And they're all this rolling type of strategy that I like to call them, and they're constantly moving, they're constantly changing to different price points. They're changing. The increases of the bet is different for every time it moves to a different price point. I've found these strategies to be so much more profitable in the long run. You know, you have to start out small with these bets, of course, but in the long run, I've seemed to be more profitable and more long-term running with 100, 200, 300% gains, 1,000% gains sometimes, without it ever buckling. Now, this strategy, like I said, I've adjusted it and changed it over the course of 3 or 4 months. I have other strategies, probably 3 or 4 more other ones that are similar to this, but this is by far, 9811 is by far the best rolling strategy that I have been working on. And I really, really enjoy it. I think you will too. I mean, that's why you're here, right? Okay, so we've hit that 10%. 10% stop. We're going to go up to 22. And so as we're looking here under the strategy for 9811, our first streak of one win, we set the win chance at 48%. On every one win, we set the bet amount for 22. On greater than 10,000 profit, we stop, and you'll be changing that as you go up, or if you have more money you're risking. First streak of one loss, we set the win chance at 46%. On first streak of second loss, we set the win chance at 35%. The first streak of 3 losses, we set the win chance at 9%. On streaks lower than 6 losses, we increase the bet amount 15%. Our first streak of 6 losses, we increase the bet 150%. And this is where it starts to build up. That's why we want to start small and build it up slowly as the losses increase. Our first streak of 6 losses will set the win chance at 17%. Now, this right here used to be at 10. So I've lowered it by 4 over the course of several months, just working on it. These were all, this right here was at 20 or 30. And so you can imagine the amount you're risking once it gets to 30 losses. So like I said, I've adjusted this, and it seems to work out a lot better. Where were we? So win chance 17%. First streak of 6 losses, increased bet amount 28%. First streak of 7 wins, set win chance at 20. Ooh, there's an error right there. First streak of 7 wins, set win chance to 23%. That is supposed to be first streak of 7 losses. I wonder how much that's going to change it. That one error could have been the whole reason why I've been doing so good. First streak of 7 losses, increased bet amount 35%. First streak of 8 losses, another increase of 35%. First streak of 8 losses, set win chance at 28%. First streak of 9 losses, your increased bet amount 45%. First streak of 9 losses, set win chance at 30%. First streak of 10 losses, set win chance at 50%. First streak of 10 losses, increased bet amount 350%. Streak greater than 10 losses, increased bet amount 105%. Every bet after number 10 is going to increase at 105%. And that's where your 50% win chance comes in. The reason you do 105% is because your 50% win chance, I believe, is 49. It's a 1.98 multiplier. So you want to increase this 105 just so it'll be more than 2 times. And then on every 2 wins, switch over and under. So on every streak of 3 losses, switch over and under. I never did that. I included in there off of my 2x trading strategy. And once I included that in there, it's worked so much better because it never would switch over into the win. And so I would find a lot of times that once it got back down to the 40 or the 50%, it would hit the red 3 or 4 times, and then 5th time I'm out. So by switching it over every 3 losses, it's game changer. It is game changer on this strategy. So if you need to slow it down to look at it, let you pause it at your own speed. Okay. So we're going to see now if that 7 loss win error did anything. But okay, here we go. I always want to straighten it out first. We are almost right there at the third. Almost there, 30%. We did have a pretty good drop right there, but it didn't go below the other point, so we're still looking good. I like to see, as it's continuing to climb, that these get higher than the lowest point below them. Feel free to 2x, 3x speed this on YouTube if you want. Speed it up a little bit. I apologize for the slowness of it. I get about $10 to $12 a week on Rakeback, and I get off of Telegram, and I get about $30 to $40 to sometimes $50 a month in Rakeback off the email. Just testing out my strategies, and so a lot of times I don't even put money in it. I'm just using the Rakeback, and so let's say I get $10 a week on Rakeback. I would divide that up. If it's I will, let's say it's Shiba, and let's just say $10 is a million Shiba. I would divide that by 10, which would be 100,000 each. I will work on a strategy, and I'll start to do a Rakeback system off of the game that I'm playing. So, for example, let's say I can get this up to 200,000-300,000, I will put my stop, instead of at 10%, I will stop it at a 15%. I will vault 5% of that as it's going up. So that way I will end up paying myself back my initial 100,000 in case I do bust. Or what you could do is your first 100,000 that you make, you just vault it, and then you start the strategy all over with 300,000. But for me, I don't want to vault the whole 100,000 that I just took forever to get, and so I will just slowly rake back out of my winnings and vault it, and that's how I slowly build my vault. Just slowly raking back myself. I love using Shiba, because Shiba, when it gets down to like 600-700, when it gets super cheap, last time it was in the sixes, I bought a whole bunch of Shiba, gambled, made a lot of money. When it got to 10, I sold it all. But right now it's around 9, 10. So I think Shiba is a good. I hate using Bitcoin because I can only get, like, let's say you have $100, you're only going to get like 100,000 Satoshi or whatever. This way, if I get $100, I'm getting 10 million Shiba. It allows you to really work on strategies, play it out, do different things, get creative with these strategies. And that's how you really find a strategy that works for you, a strategy that you could trust, depend on, rely on, and just really have fun with. And then you could mingle them together. Like sometimes I'll do this 9811, I'll switch it back and forth to the 2X, maybe go to the 98.7, and do some different ones. So here we are, we're almost at our 20% mark, like so close. 271 wins, 477 losses so far. Wagered 153,480 Shiba, and we're up 20,000 Shiba. All right. And once this hits, I think it's going to stop. All right, we're up 20,000. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go to 24 now. Just like that. And that's what you would do. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Is, let's say you do 1 million Shiba. And so for 1 million Shiba, if we do the 5,000%, be 200. So we're going to put 200 right here. And this time we're going to change this to 100. 10,000. No, I'm sorry, 100,000. Yeah. And again, that's just something I always do, always straighten it out, because I have the first wins, what it does, so it will always change it. And the reason I do this is sometimes I have money that's left up here, and this will flush it out, because a long time ago, I've had it at 5 or 9 or whatever strategy I'm working on, and I actually have money up here, and it goes and hits and it misses, and I'm like, oh shit, So it's just a habit. And so we're at 6 bets, and we're already at 3,000, 2,900. And 7,600, 7 bets. There's 7 wins. Boom, 12,000. So you can see how raising your amount of money you have, raising your bet amount, will ultimately just keep building, and faster. So if you started with 100,000, you finally got to 1 million, and you're finally at 200. And this is what you're going to be doing. You're literally going to be making the 10,000 that took you 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever to make, earlier. Now you're doing it in a minute. And now imagine when you get to 10 million, you're making 10%, which is what? 1 million, right? In the exact same amount of time that earlier, that this one here will make 100,000 at. You're going to make 1 million at the same rate. Anybody watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? It's one of the best comedy shows. And here we are at 30%, just like earlier. So if you're going to give the strategy out a try, or, whatever, or if you, have stake is the only one that'll let you do the the strategies. I've not found another site that allows you to do strategies on dice like this. There is a new dice game that's out on another platform, and then it has like you can move. It has 2 of these you can move, or 4 of them you can move, and bullcrap. I don't like it. It doesn't have a strategy to it. You have to adjust everything yourself. You have to bet yourself. So once you can start moving them, doing this rolling strategy, it changes the game. Like, stop letting it be just at one number. Stop letting it be at 5x or 2x. Don't be, oh boy, who kicks the door down and stuff. And, he's a very entertaining guy. But don't be him and just leave it at 2x, at 50%. Figure out a way to make money in a less stressful condition. You know what I'm saying? Like at 50x, yeah, you have to hit it within so many times, because if not, you're going to lose. You're going to lose it all, because you can only double up so many times. But this way, I have at least 20 losses I could take, but at different points, and then as it's progressing, like right here, boom, look how much higher it went. So try rolling strategies if you're having a difficult time with a stationary strategy. If you're putting it on 10x or 20x or 25x, and you just let it sit there, I've seen where I've done strategies where it misses 15 times, and then on the 16th time it will place a bet on 10x or whatever. Those strategies work for a little while, but after a while, guess what? You're gonna be missing. I mean, don't get me wrong. This strategy is not perfect, but by adjusting your how much you're putting in. So, for example, instead of doing a 5,000 divided by 5,000, excuse me, you could divide it by 10. You could divide it by 15, 20. I've had the strategy at one time. I divided it by 50,000. It just took too damn long. Like, it took forever. I think a million was like almost like 5. Let's see, if I had a million, if I divided that by 50,000, yeah, it's like 20. So you're doing what we did a minute ago. Start out with at that slow pace. Like I said, I can't do the instant bet. They miss. They will hit green and not mark it, like not count it. And I brought that up to Stake, and they said that it could be a glitch. It could be, but they say that because of these strategies and these conditions, you could create a double rollover that the computer cannot adjust to. So, for example, let's say you had 3 wins or 3 losses. Every streak of 3 losses, it rolls over, right? This goes over here, the green. But you could create, let's say you do every streak of 3 losses, and you do every streak of 5 losses. Well, eventually, that 3 and that 5 would cross at the same time, and it would do a double turn. But you wouldn't see it because it wouldn't turn. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't count. So Stake says because it's in the strategy part, nothing is guaranteed. So if it messes up or glitches because of some turnover or whatever, rollover or roll under, it's not their fault. So I've had those problems, and it showed earlier in the video. It hit there and it didn't mark it. So look at that. So 155 wins at 100,000. We made 10%. Now you'd go to 220 and so forth. So this is it's been a pretty long video, so I'm going to wrap it up. But I'm going to do a series where I start out at 100,000 and I work it up and see how long, we could take it to and how fast. And it's probably going to take a few videos, but that's one of the videos I will be working on as far as using this 9811 strategy in real time. Until next time, y'all have a blast playing some dice.